It was Manchester City then that advanced to the quarter-finals. Liverpool have only won one of their last 8 away games against Manchester City in all competitions, although they had a pretty decent overall record against City coming into that game last night. Neil, how much did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy different facets. I thought to myself, if Liverpool would have had Haaland, they'd have won game easily. The chances that Núñez missed, I can't believe the number of chances he missed. But I thought, what a good sign for Liverpool. I thought this is the best I've seen for a while, this. And I just thought with the players missing, and I think they might try and get something at the back in January if they can. I just thought it was promising for Liverpool, and but when you look at Haaland, his goal. I know it sounds. Everybody thought it was easy, but it weren't easy. That were it, Ray? It was unbelievable, the finish. For a young striker looking at that and wanting to learn your trade, the way he went away from him, and just for a split second he lost him, but then all of a sudden he gets across him, and it makes it look easy. But I thought it was a good game, and I'll tell you what. I've wanted to say this for quite a few years now. I thought David Coote was fantastic last night. Referee. Yeah. I'm not a big fan. Never been a big fan. But I thought last night...
Of David Coote or referees in general, don't worry, Neil?
No. Well, probably in general. But I thought last night he was fabulous last night. He refereed the game how it should be refereed, which I've not seen that a lot from him over the years. But I think, whether he's just maturing or not, I don't know. But he let things go both sides, and he was into it. And I think it makes a difference. Like the World Cup final, he'd played the game, that referee. And I thought the Polish lad was brilliant. And I'm glad to hear this morning, because that's what I said after the World Cup. I hope Howard Webb comes in and tries to get one or two lads that have played lower down that, would have a go at taking on refereeing again, that's played the game, knows what it's like. And I hope Howard does, because I do think it showed that, the Polish lad, I thought he was brilliant.
I'm sure there'd be plenty of people interested in being a referee who's played the game, and as you rightly said there, Neil, a lot of it's common sense, isn't it? It's a big fixture. It always has been, Man City v Liverpool, but let it flow. Sometimes you're going to be some late tackles, but it's how you deal with that, isn't it? If you start giving yellow cards too early, then you put yourself in a position where you maybe have to send someone off, and there's a little bit of a ruck at one stage, but he calmed it all down very quickly, didn't he? So I totally agree with you.
He didn't jump into things like he used to. When the last couple of years when I've had him, he's always jumped into things, and yellow cards the easy way out. Give him a card. Yeah. But last night I thought he helped the game. I was really pleased with him. You know me, I criticise him when I can, but I felt that by doing that he let the game flow, and once the players know what they can get away with. A couple of times there were tackles where normally a referee had to give a free kick, and he knew it, not diving, but they weren't real free kicks, and he waved play on, and then the lads stopped diving. They know they can't just do it if somebody knows what they're doing. So I was really pleased last night for that, and I enjoyed the game. I thought, wow, what a good game.
Yeah,
the intensity, wasn't it? It was really strong, was it? Look, we expect that, Man City v Liverpool, but you never know what's going to happen after the World Cup, Neil, do you? And it didn't let anybody down, put it that way. That game last night.
I've got a feeling, Natalie and Ray, that I've got a feeling that the second half of the season is going to be electric, mate, because we've always had the World Cup at the end of the season, and everybody's knackered. They're all cream crackered, aren't they? At the end of the season, they want to go to Benidorm and places, don't they? Get on that. Well, you do anyhow, Ray. And get on that beach and have a few jars. Whereas now, I think they're all fresh. Yeah. And the lads coming back, I think, are sharp. I think the lads that have been here that haven't played in the World Cup have just got probably a couple of weeks to catch up in that respect. And I think we're in for a great second half of the season, mate.
Well, I should say it's good to give credit to the referee, like you were mentioning there, Neil, because often they come in for a lot of stick. And actually, when a referee does a good job, that doesn't tend to be talked about. So nice for you to mention that, Neil. And just to pick up on what you mentioned with Howard Webb, that is the suggestion that he wants to persuade more former players to become referees. That's part of his new role now that he's taken over as the head of elite officials at the PGMOL. He's been out in the US and Canada for the last 6 years, sort of heading up their refereeing departments, but now has come over here to take over from Mike Riley, and that's something he sees as really important, to try and use players or ex-players in a refereeing role.
Yeah, listen, they're not all be successful, but what you want a chance for with a player who's either injured or just can't make it at the lower divisions. You're not going to get any top flight players doing it because of the money situation. But the lads are lower down. I think it's a good living, and if they can. Normally referees, you have to start at Sunday League or whatever it is and work your way up. But if they get some of these lads, which I'm sure Howard will, because he is a very, very good man manager. He's always talked to managers, always dealt with. My dad used to say, because my dad was a Class 1 ref, and he used to say, common sense is the one rule that you need. And yet Mike Riley tried to get rid of common sense. Mike Riley, ever since I've known Mike Riley as a referee, he's been a robot, and he does things in a robotic way. And you can't do that to get the respect of players. You've got to handle them. You've got to talk to them. I remember George Tyson, I think it was. I once went past him when I was playing, and I had a right go at him, and he said, I bet you wish you'd made as few mistakes as me have today. And little chats. I know you can't talk as much to referees because you'll get it thrown at you now, but there's still a way of dealing with and getting on with players, and I think Howard Webb, like Michael Oliver and one or two of the other, Anthony Taylor, I think that we'll get a lot more coming through because they won't start at the bottom rung. They'll start probably, I don't know, Northern League or hopefully the one above National League or something, and get straight in higher up and get a little bit further up the ladder because they've played the game, so they don't need to go down to that grassroots level. So I'm optimistic now with Howard.
But would either of you want to have done that role, a referee? I know it might be slightly different with your
as an apprentice.
careers,
as an apprentice, you had to do the referee's course.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you did. Just you learn the rules of the game and sort of stuff. But I think it's a great idea. I really do. As Neil rightly says there, I think it'd be lower leagues, but they've been, I don't know what sort of level is lower leagues, the referee's situation, but I think a lot of refereeing is common sense. It's seeing it, a lot of the time you're saying, oh, well, that's not a booking. If I was a player, but the referees give a yellow card. Sometimes you've got to assess the importance of the game. Sometimes the rivalry of the game. And let things flow sometimes. And I think he got his spot on last night, as Neil mentions there. So, yeah, I think that's a real positive. And I totally agree. Mike Riley should have been changed many, many years ago. I think it was a decision. We've had quite a few referees on here saying, look, that's the problem, where it always starts at the top. And now Howard Webb's going in. Hopefully he changes quite a bit with the referees, and it can improve.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.